Hello, Lagos. 3 minutes gone past the 5 o'clock hour. This is, of course, the home stretch on Hard Facts, the nation's number one talk news and sports radio station. We're broadcasting live from our audiovisual studios right here in Odeyemi Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. And I did promise that we were going to be speaking with the Postmaster General. I think we should change it to Postperson General because the Postmaster is a lady and I love it. Well, we're being joined by Tola Odeyemi. She's a Postmaster General. And today we're going to be talking about transforming postal services in Nigeria. Before we get to our guest, sometime in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, there was a planned restructuring of the Nigerian Postal Services, which we heard would have led to its unbundling to have standalone business components that will project the NiPost, that's the Nigerian Postal Services brand. We also heard that, they envisaged a reform of sorts in NiPost to put the organization on a profitable path to efficient service, stressing that despite the Bureau's sole mandate to reform, there's going to be some collaborations, with critical stakeholders to ensure that the reform in NiPost is carried out without hitches. But this was in 2018. Fast forward, we're in 2024, and NiPost has been led by a lady, which is a plus for me, Tick Tick. She's here today to talk to us about how she is going to be championing this mandate of transforming the Nigerian Postal Service. It's good to have you join us, Miss Tola. Lovely to have you here and wanting to talk to Nigerians about this transformation agenda that you have. Good evening.
Good evening. Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Like I said, and I'm going to keep sounding like a broken record, it's lovely to have a lady lead NiPost and a young one at that, not just any lady, but a young lady. But talk to us about, the Nigerian Postal Service. Many people will say, what are you talking about? We're in 2024. We're talking about emails here. We're talking about Google meetings and we're talking about Zoom. I don't have to send anybody anything by post except it's, maybe one of those things you get from FedEx or DHL. What's NiPost supposed to offer to us? So maybe let's start from there.
Thank you. So for the Nigerian Postal Service, I think I'd like us to take a step back in terms of what does the post mean to Nigerians today. So if you think back, back in the day when everybody knew what NiPost was, when NiPost was sort of, more relevant, let me put it that way, to the Nigerian experience, what was it? It wasn't really about the mail. It wasn't about the letters you were receiving. It was that the Nigerian Postal Service was sort of central to communities. So if you think about even things like financial services, it was the heartbeat of the community. And how do I know this? Around the world, around the country, right? Most of our NiPost locations are situated in the heart of the city, usually right close to the Bale or the leaders residence or office, because that's how important it was to the daily lives of Nigerians. So you wanted to get a letter, you wanted to get money, you wanted to get stamped, you wanted to get anything, you could get it done at a NiPost. Now, fast forward to 2024, what we're trying to do is bring back NiPost into the relevant consciousness of Nigerians. So again, it's not about the letters. Yes, email has come and it's much easier. It takes literally seconds as opposed to days or something, right? But you think about if we're trying to drive e-commerce, if we're trying to drive the economy, right? You still need to move goods around the country. So forget letters. It is still a sort of bedrock of e-commerce, of trade, right? Of industry. And then also another thing we're trying to do again even which is a throwback, is the financial services. The NiPost locations, I think about 60% of our locations are in underserved areas, right? Because we have a universal service obligation. So if you think about our ability to even sort of help people do their financial transactions, the Nigerian Postal Service has a super agent license as well as an international money transfer operator license. And we hope to expand. Yes.
Wow. We didn't know this. Thank you for telling us this. We didn't know this. Oh my goodness. I think that your network is a bit problematic. So we've lost that connection. Hopefully we can get you back. For those of you who are just joining us, Tola Odeyemi is the Postmaster General, Nigerian Postal Services. She's joined us via Zoom. Unfortunately, we're having a little connection issue with her. Hopefully she can join us back. Okay, she's back with us. A little connection issue there, but you're back. Yeah, you were telling us about the financial services.
Yes, financial services. So yes, our financial services. So you think of, so we have these licenses. We're able to do simple payment transactions, cash in, cash out, international money transfer, which is both outbound and inbound international transfers, right? And we're focusing, meaning that you could walk into any post office anywhere in the world and send money to Nigeria, right? And yes, and so that's, I mean, we're trying to get that rolling out by the end of the month or first week in September to roll that out. We're just trying to get the tech right, tested, and then deployed. Then we think of some of our e-government services, right? Again, because our strength is in sort of underserved areas, right? Last month, we applied and we qualified to be one of the front-end partners for the Identity Management Commission, right? Meaning that as we roll out, you should be able to walk into any NIPOS office and do your NIN registration. And as other government services are digitized, you should be able to walk into these NIPOS offices in underserved areas, right? So think outside Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Kano, and Kaduna. Places where you don't have a lot of government presence, right? Because you don't have a lot of government presence. Nigeria has bequeathed NIPOS with these locations, and we're trying to find how to use them. So e-government services, being able to do things like your birth registration, death registration, at some point, passports, federal road safety, driver's license, as government services are being digitized, you'll have a front end at the NIPOS office. And then last, what I call our value added service, which is something that's also in line with e-commerce, is digitizing our postcode. Right now, we have an analog postcode, but another thing we're trying to do is digitize postcode where you now have a digital postcode and you can use that, and that helps in so many things, in planning, in security services, in emergency services, in verifying people, right? So a lot of government interventions, loans and things, one of the biggest issues has been verifying people's addresses. With NIMSI, we've been able to verify who they are, but we've not been able to verify where they live. Exactly. So that's one of the things that by the end of this year, the digital postcode will be ready, which then brings Nigeria into the 21st century in terms of postcode. So that's so what we're trying to do is just basically, or what we're trying to do, the team and I, is bring back sort of the relevance of Nigerian Postal Service. Because there's a lot Nigerian Postal Service can do, especially if you think of us in underserved areas, right? The place, last mile delivery of government services, last mile delivery of, and if there's a project we're doing right now with, we're trying to kickstart with SMEDAN, which is again trying to get some of the sort of MSMEs around the country, get them moving their goods around the country, right? So for a lot of people, you would think, yes, there's FedEx, there's, some of the other people in the industry, but because NIPOS has a universal service obligation, meaning we have to be everywhere. So in the places even where some of the sort of, you would say, international carriers can't go to, NIPOS is there, meaning that anybody who has a business that needs to move things around can go to the NIPOS, and that's how we spur the economy on.
Lovely. I have too many questions, but I'm going to start with, when I was a little girl, the post office in Calabar literally was just like 5 minutes walk away from my grandmother's house. And so we went there to take our telephone bills, everything came in the post at the time. And this still happens in the US. It still happens in England. You still go into your post office box and then you take out whatever, the bills that are coming in. But is there a possibility for that to happen? That's one. Secondly, if you're saying that you are trying to work with MSMEs and you're also bringing e-commerce into the mix, are your charges going to be a lot more cheaper than these other guys? Because we have, I don't want to advertise people, but the GIGs of this world and the rest of them who move things around, if I want to get crayfish and groundnut oil from Calabar or palm oil, I send it through them. Is the post office going to be offering those services at a reduced rate, not necessarily running at a loss, but what's going to be the incentive and what's the tracking, time, all of those things, are they going to be considered? Let me not bombard you with too many questions. Let's start with that.
So first question you asked was postbox. Those post boxes are still there. Yes. The boxes are there. In fact, I think about 2 weeks ago, I did a spot check on some of them, and a lot of people still use them. A lot of people still, like a lot of agencies, people still use them. So maybe you got to check on your grandma's box. It's probably still there, and they're probably still holding, because there's, because of the history of the Nigerian Postal Service, even the people at the post office, even if the person hasn't paid for the box in a while, they still keep the letters. Yes, they still keep the letters there. I just think it's just one of those things. Yes, yes. So the post box are still there. So if you remember your post box number, please go check. At the second one, when I mentioned sort of 787 in Calabar, well, we'll talk offline of that.
I just remembered. 787 came to mind. But go ahead.
So the second question was in terms of how we're able to
integrate MSMEs and e-commerce.
Yeah. So I think the reason why this thing that we want to do with Sweden is because Sweden also has a mandate to sort of spur on MSMEs, and we have a universal service obligation. That means we have to be affordable, right? So even we just recently reviewed some of our tariffs, but even in the reviewing of our tariffs, we had to be careful that it is still affordable. Like, we would always be cheaper than the sort of commercial entities, because we have, we wear a dual hat, right? And because yes, we will have to turn a profit. It's one of the things we have to do. We have a target, but at the same time, we also look at what we're doing for the economy, right? So yes, we do have our prices are cheaper.
Okay, let's talk about those boxes. I think that they used to, I might be wrong, please correct me. Those post boxes also used to serve as like safety deposit boxes, like the ones you have in the banks. I don't know if people can actually trust those boxes to put things that they hold dear to them. I don't know, but correct me. Can those boxes, because I remember I used to go there, open the box, you get the key, open the box, take out stuff, and sometimes you put stuff in. Is it supposed to serve as a safety deposit box like the ones you have in the banks?
No.
Oh, my bad.
No, they just serve as, so that they just, when we have two services. So if you have the box, you can come at any point in time to open your box. So, if you don't want them delivered to you, so they just keep them in your box. And anytime you come, what you want, or the bags. And the bags, when we deliver the ones in the bags, right? And if you have a box, you can walk it at any point in time, pick out what is yours and what you want mailed out. That's what it's for, not for keeping your valuables.
Okay, quickly. For example, I shop a lot online. I shop on all these Fashion Novas, Shein, and all of those. Will there be options for? Would NIPOS be reformed in a way where it can be an option? Because I know that Fashion Nova sends the things to NIPOST office, and you have to. The last time I used NIPOST, I had to travel all the way to Igbefor, after Igbefor, Ikota, the NIPOST office there, to pick something, and I live here in Lekki Phase 1. So again, let's talk about accessibility and how easy it is to access these post office, deliveries, because that's another thing. I want to, patronize the post office, but if it's going to be stressful for me, I'd rather FedEx it.
So I think there are two things I'd like to discuss to that. First of all, one of the things, so the reason why there hasn't been a large sort of expansion of NIPOS offices in a while, right? Because they're sort of looking at sort of traditional brick and mortar offices for expansion. But as e-commerce now is playing a larger part, even in our business, so a lot of we even deal probably more with parcels than with letters and documents now. So because if you send anything through USPS, Royal Mail, any designated organization, so the country owned or the country sort of supported designated organization, it comes through the Nigerian Postal Service, right? And so in spurring on, so it comes because we are, we are under the same union, the Universal Postal Union. So one of the things we're trying to do to spur on e-commerce is if we can have sort of centers in sort of population centers, right? So like a Lekki, where there's a lot of parcels going to Lekki, right? So you have the traditional one in Ibeju, but then because Lekki is now a population center, it's a massive center for e-commerce. If we can drop a sort of shipping container just for delivery or acceptance, of e-commerce parcels just to make it easier. Again, it comes right down to a universal service obligation. We have to be everywhere for everyone, literally. So that's one of the ways we're trying to spur on e-commerce.
Okay.
And I think the second one, in terms of delivery, right? One of the reasons, and I'll be very honest, one of the reasons why it was difficult to deliver initially was because our tariffs weren't cost reflective. So sometimes it's just easier to tell the person to come pick up because the cost of that sort of to the door delivery wasn't included in our tariffs. But now that we have reviewed the tariffs to be more cost reflective, still very affordable, right? And that's so that we can actually do the door-to-door delivery as well, because not a lot of people, I mean, the reason why you shop online is because you want that convenience, right? And so we don't want the last mile to now be the issue that now stresses people out.
Yeah. But what is the level of information that's out there about what you're doing, the reformation that's taking place in NIPOST, and the level of citizen engagement aside from what you're doing now? How many people actually know what you're doing?
So this is how it starts, right? This is how it starts, because sometimes you can't just you get into office, you take the appointment, and then you sort of have to learn, you have to know what's going on, and then figure out, okay, this is how you want to do it. Then you can start talking about it, right? So that now that between I've had several workshops myself and the Honorable Minister to see what is the best way forward for NIPOST, then we can start talking about it and start citizen engagement, which is what I'm doing right now on your show.
Lovely. I know that sometime, if I'm not mistaken, sometime September last year, Nigerians were reacting to Tijani, moving to reform the NIPOST. In fact, some of them actually pushed that NIPOST be reformed the way NBIS. I need to get that thing right. I read somewhere where they were saying we needed to be at par with the immigrations and the other, because of course this interior minister has made easy for us to be able to get our passports. We don't have to travel to Ibadan where there's least crowd, or have to travel to Calabar. And so they're saying, why can't NIPOST also be reformed to a point where it's so easy and accessible? Is there a target or a timing, timeline that Nigerians can hold you to say, okay, by October 2025, this is what we're going to be churning out as NIPOST, or by January 2025, this is what NIPOST is going to be doing, or by December, you're going to be getting your deliveries, it's going to be coming to your house, and the cost is going to be way cheaper than what you get anywhere else?
So, I think for sort of different initiatives, like I mentioned with the digital postcode, I've given a timeline for December 2024 on that one. So in terms of, like, I would say our core business, which is our logistics, mail and logistics business, right, which we're still trying to reform, it's like a refinement program, right? You're refining it because it's not perfect the first time. You do another iteration. One thing we're trying to move towards is the Universal Postal Union target, which is for any parcel, except especially for inbound parcels. So from the point where it is accepted at the International Mail Processing Center to the last mile, which is to the hand of the customer, it's supposed to take 5 days, right? That's the target. That's the target. But there's so many dependencies for that target, right?
Okay.
So you have logistics in terms of you have hardware that you have to do, software, and we're working on all these things simultaneously. For you to be able to do these targets, you need trucks on the road, and with the help of the Honorable Minister, as well as the immense help of Mr. President, we're working fast towards this target where we're able to then run and I hate using the word world-class postal, like a world-class postal
What's
service,
wrong with
right?
that? What's wrong with
everybody
that?
Everybody uses world-class. I always try to find something else.
Maybe international best practices, or
Yeah, international best practice, exactly. The international best practice, which is the J+5, which is the arrival plus 5 days.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we're working towards, right? So as we're getting the technology right, as we're getting the tracking technology, ensuring that even our trucks, we have enough trucks to move on the road. Where we don't have trucks, we're trying to see who can we partner with to ensure, because for us, it is to meet the deadline one way or another, meet that deadline.
All right. Tola Odeyemi is the Postmaster General. She's joining us here via Zoom from the FCT. She is speaking to us about transforming and repositioning the postal service in Nigeria. When we come back from this break, Lagos, I want to ask you, Tola, about missing parcels being tampered with, the level of confidentiality that people can have. In fact, can people actually trust NiPost? These are questions that I want you to answer when we come back from the break. But stay with us. Ms. Tola Odeyemi is still with us. She's a Postmaster General. It doesn't sit well with me, but hey, who cares? We're gentlemen of the press. We'll be right back after this break. Millions of listeners trust us on Hard Fact. Whether it's politics, social issues, controversies, and trending stories. We're credible and objective.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Are you tired of all the noise and speculation in the news? On Hard Fact, we cut through the clutter and get straight to the truth.
If only Fubra has been aware of the boo-boo trap, he would have understood in democracy there are bases for everybody to do accordingly.
Join us as we bring you the stories that matter.
More talk, more, right after this. This is a public service announcement. The moment you didn't know you've been waiting for is here. GT Co is offering shares to the public. From Monday 15th July 2024 to August 12th 2024, you have the opportunity to own shares of GT Co PLC when you apply to the GT Co public offering of 9 billion ordinary shares at 44 naira 50 kobo per share. This means that at 44 naira 50 kobo per share, you can now share in our vision and own shares of GT Co PLC. To apply, simply go to the GT Co website at www.gtcoplc.com or visit any GT Bank branch nationwide or any receiving agent listed in the offer prospectus. Offer is open from 15th July to August 12th, so don't delay. Apply now to own shares of GT Co. GT Co. Proudly African. Truly international.
Hey you! Listen, that your phone has tried. Time to switch up your game with the new laptop. You promised you'd start your content creation journey this year, didn't you? Time to level up with Strix Technologies, your gateway to fine selection of mobile devices, smartware, and home tech. At Strix, we empower everyone with the possibilities of technology, from laptops to iPads to gadgets and games. You name it, we have quality reserved for you at affordable prices. So what are you waiting for? Shop online at www.strix.com.ng or drop by our stores in Lagos, Abuja, and Enugu. You can also check us out at Strix_NG on social media or call 0802 759 0350 for your favorite devices at the snap of your fingers. Empower your tomorrow today by discovering the Strix difference. Think Strix, where innovation meets your lifestyle.
Everyone says I'm beautiful and bold. They say I'm fashionable. And to crown it up, very confident. And my secret is...
People say I'm good looking, funny, hardworking, and to crown it up, very confident. And my secret is...
So whether in the office or at home,
in the streets or on the dance floor,
anytime, any day, I never lose my confidence. And the secret to my confidence is Wazobia perfume.
Absolutely. Wazobia perfume gives the authenticity and long-lasting fragrance all day. That's my secret confidence.
Wazobia perfume is available in body spray.
Also available in supermarkets and markets near you.
You can also get it on Jumia.
Wazobia perfume, the correct scent.
I'm in love. Sonia tomato mix, stand up. Is it to open? Is it to squeeze? Is it to scoop and is it to stir? Dishes come alive with so much taste. Sonia tomato mix, of course. Sonia tomato mix, yes sir. Sonia tomato mix, stand up.
Sonia
Sonia tomato mix in a new stand-up pouch.
Tell me which kind thing Viva no fi wash away, 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 away. Jenna tomato paste or coffee stain your body. Viva go wash away, 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 away. Chicken eat for your clothes now. All you need for Viva to wash away, 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 away. Eh, gentle for your pocket, gentle for your hand. Oh my Viva, you go dey make you shine. Oh Viva, Viva. Oh no no, I love my Viva, oh Viva. Oh no no, Uncle say bye bye to very tough stage, yo. Oh no no, Mama say bye bye to any kind stage, yo. Oh no no, oh Viva, Viva. Oh no no, I love my Viva, Viva. Oh no no.
My guy, how far now?
Oh boy, network no allow me run transfer give my mama. Since morning, only one bar. Can you imagine? I beg, hotspot me now.
No be Union Bank account you dey use.
Yes, now Union Bank.
Now, just dial *826# and you go fit send the bar without data.
You walk oh.
Before call, now you no get updates now. Take advantage of the seamless *826# USSD. Pay bills, send money, buy airtime, and even generate the pay code and PIN for cardless withdrawals. Embrace data-free banking today. Dial *826# to get started. Available to new and existing customers. Union Bank, your simpler, smarter bank.
Get ready for the ultimate showdown of intellect and persuasion. The I Beg to Differ National Debate Tournament kicks off on the 12th of August 2024, and it is going to be epic. Witness a thrill of high-stake arguments, insightful rhetoric, and unbeatable wit. The sharpest minds from Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt will clash for the prestigious title of National Debate Champion. Who will rise to the top and claim the ultimate crown? Well, tune in to 99.3 Nigeria Info Lagos, 95.1 Nigeria Info Abuja, and 92.3 Nigeria Info Port Harcourt, Monday through Thursday, 4 o'clock, and experience the power of persuasive debate like never before. I Beg to Differ, the Tournament of Champions.
.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
Millions of listeners trust us on Hard Fact. Whether it's politics, social issues, controversies, and trending stories, you know we're credible and objective.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Yes, we are back. We still have the Postmaster General joining us live via Zoom from the FCT, and we are talking about reforming, repositioning, and changing our mentality towards the Nigerian Postal Service. And the Postmaster General, did I remember to tell you that she's a lady? Tola Odeyemi is joining us, and it's time for you to join the conversation. Lagos, questions, comments, we want to hear. We're live on facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. We're also live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. Those of you who are listening from outside of the country, you could join us via Zoom, via Skype, I beg your pardon, we're Nigeria Info FM. You can join the conversation via WhatsApp 0809597585. For the men, 0201277093. That's 0201277093. If you're a lady, call 0201-465-7190. That's 0201-465-7190. In a bit, I'll come to the phone lines, but I did ask a question before I went on the break. How can we trust the NIPOST, the Nigerian Postal Service? Because there have been cases of tampering with parcels, how do you intend to deal with that now that you're on board?
Yeah, thank you very much. So you're speaking to the choir. So I think tracing parcels, looking for parcels, probably I deal with it every day, right? So the Nigerian Postal Service and most of the cases of sort of tampered parcels, we have to be honest with ourselves, actually comes through our inbound our inbound into Nigeria through the International Mail Processing Center. So what we're doing right now to bolster, people's hope and trust in the Nigerian Postal Service. One, we've upgraded our tracking so that at any point in time, right, people know where their parcel is. And usually it's when there's been no movement, all of a sudden, things are nowhere to be found, that, the issue is not escalated. So that helps us. So that sort of feedback and monitoring system. So I personally use, I know people get frustrated. Well, the good thing is that these things help us also to redesign our system. But if I look at it end to end, sort of walk through, right? So one, we're doing fiscal security and electronic security, right? So from the moment it enters Nigeria, so the moment it's scanned into Nigeria, we do literally hand-to-hand checks to make sure that there's somebody that is responsible for every parcel, right? And then so we're able to trace if there's any issue where that sort of issue took place. Again, working, so at our International Mail Process Center, we have a few government agencies because it's a border point. It's a border point, right? So we have the Nigerian Customs Service, we have NDLEA, and we have the Department of State Security as well. So also working with them in terms of bolstering the security in there to ensure that things don't sit there or things don't go missing there. Another thing that has been happening is we've started doing daily sweeps of the International Mail Processing Center. So as parcels are being processed, immediately they're being taken out because, obviously when things sit down there for too long, as I mentioned, implementing a robust digital tracking system. Another thing is sort of improve staff training, because sometimes you find that there's a misstep that caused sort of some things to go missing. So training staff both at the International Mail Processing Center as well as on the way. So, when it leaves that NACO place by the airport, it still has to travel last mile, right? So training all the stuff, again, hand-to-hand checks. How do you know? So for example, let me give you an example. On the system, if a bag comes into Nigeria that's supposed to weigh 8 kilograms, right? At the point of the hand-to-hand check, they have to weigh it. If it weighs 7.8 kilograms, there's an alarm in the system.
Okay.
It would accept it, right? Because that means something is off. Even if it increases, so it's not just reduces. If it increases, that also means there's something wrong. So that's how we do something. So enhanced customer communication. On Twitter, I've literally become the Nigerian Postal Service customer rep. Right? And that's because they take it very. Yeah, and because, people are entrusting their parcels regardless of what is inside, right? They're entrusting it to us where, we can't let them down. So I have to do everything to ensure that these things get to them in time. And that's why I love, the feedback on there. Oh, please deal with this. This came in. It hasn't moved since then. It hasn't moved since. I'm tracking down the system. Where is this thing? Where is this? Because what we want to do, because the way I look at it is if people can trust the Nigerian Postal Service, right, which is a government agency, I see it as my duty to enhancing trust in the fact that the Nigerian government is working as well, right? It's an arm of the Nigerian. And also, I would also like to state as well that sometimes when people say their parcels are missing, there's also human error, not from the Nigerian Postal Service side. So when I mentioned the digital postcode, this is some of the issues. Sometimes we can't even find the location. Sometimes phone numbers are missing. We have a whole list. I mean, right now, I think very soon you see a list in the newspapers of people's parcels that we just can't find them. We can't locate them. Their numbers aren't going through.
Wow.
And their parcels are with us, right? I think about almost 300 parcels this year alone.
What?
Yes, we can't find them. So we've collated everything and we're just going to put it in the papers. If you can come with whatever can make you identify that this thing belongs, we can hand it over to you. But I am not in any way sort of shifting the blame or shifting that there haven't been sort of lapses inside. And that's what we're working on vigorously, I might say, because that's our primary business.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
The reason when I mentioned all these other initiatives, the financial service, this, that, we have to first enable trust in one aspect to even then enable people to come and say, okay, I would like to try your add-on services.
Okay. All right. Well, you're setting the precedent for that. Well, Lagos, it's time for you to join the conversation. And those who are listening from outside of the country, you're watching on Facebook Live, post your comments. On YouTube Live, post your comment or questions. But the phone lines are now open. Again, 0201 277 0993 for the men. The ladies, 0201 465 71 90. You got 60 seconds. Go straight to the point. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Good evening, Maryann.
Good evening.
Good evening to your guest as well.
Yeah.
Zoboli calling from Ikorodu.
Go ahead.
My question to your guest this evening would be, would she say the advent of social media and the likes is a bane on the postal service? Secondly, how have they upped their game that makes it different from what we have in the past? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Ms. Odeyemi, did you hear her question?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Yes,
perfect. Would you mind answering?
So I guess I think her first question was about social media and I guess just generally technology, right? And how has it impacted. So I think it's not even just the Nigerian Postal Service. It's a worldwide phenomenon. Like literally every postal service has gone through where they have been negatively impacted by the sort of rise in technology and communications technology. But what it has then done for the Postal Service, Nigeria included, is that how else can you use these sort of, and the postal services in each country sort of the same, you have them everywhere, everybody has a universal service obligation, is then saying these assets that the post has, how else can they be used? So you think about India, where they're using it for all sort of like they use the post offices for sort of things like their social intervention programs and things like that. You think about Royal Mail in the UK, where they use for passports, you can use it for anything. So did it sort of stall business for a while? Yes. But then what it has then driven is innovation. So I wouldn't say it's a bane on the postal service, just larger thinking for all postal operators globally. On sort of upping the game, and I think that's what I've been talking about in terms of sort of like using technology, enhancing our end-to-end tracking to ensure that people are able to track their parcels. Again, even on the inside, using technology to ensure that there's no, how do I put it, funny business going on with people's goods, right? At the end of the day, people use money to either buy it or to send it, and they trust us with those things. Again, so that's how I open my game. Ensuring good customer service, which I cannot emphasize enough, right? Be people at the counters in each of our location. I call them the sort of like the face of government, the face of NIPOST. So one of the things that we've done is doing extensive customer service training on the inside so that when people walk into our offices, they get a better experience. Yes, they might be there to clarify an issue, to find a parcel, to send something, even sometimes in some, not so nice situations. But at the end of the day, we are the face, that training for customer service, ensuring that there's feedback. So I don't know how it was before I joined the post, but then, because of the social media that the lady alluded to now, like I mentioned, like everybody that has an issue, they tag me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, also on X, actually, on X, and that we're more responsive, definitely more responsive, because that is the one thing that I emphasize to the wonderful people of NIPOST, that nobody's doing us a favor. People have entrusted us with their goods and their money when they, and so we have to ensure that we deliver services. So for me, it's upping the game and being sort of responsible, being responsive, and being innovative. Yeah.
All right, let's take a few more calls. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from?
My name is Chooks. I'm calling from Awoyaya.
Go ahead, Chooks.
Yeah, please, I want to verify something. Like a relative send money to us here in Nigeria, like dollar. Are we going to collect the money in dollar, or they're going to change it to naira? That's the first question.
Okay.
Second one, how are you going to treat a case like this? Like there's a bank, a brother of mine sent me money to Union, Western Union thing, and he missed just a digit. Now, when they ask for the digit, the brother from my brother sent money, I missed a digit. When I want to get to collect the money, now they said the number is not complete. I should tell my brother to send back the digit, the number back. My brother said he has thrown away the paper because he believes I've sent the money. Now, this bank is Eco Bank anyway. This bank stored the money there, but they refused to give it to me. Up until now, the money just go like that. So in such a case, how do you treat such case? Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, this is a bank situation, not necessarily a NIPOST situation, but do you care to respond?
Yeah, I think that the practice is, the practice when people receive money that they're unable to verify that they own. I think the practice is that money is after a certain number of days, depending on, the policy of the bank or policy of the financial system that they're using, is that money reverts back to the point of origin, where the sender can then go and retrieve it. I believe that's the policy.
Okay, let's take another call. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, good evening, Miriam.
Good evening. What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from?
Maryann Okon from First Act.
Go ahead.
First of all, let me commend the Postmaster General.
Yes.
In the last couple of years, the 8 years of Buhari, we had a ghost Postmaster that you don't know they exist and they'll just walk around and Napusa said we are wasting. I've listened to her ideas, brilliant ideas. These are things we want, small things. But it looks at the beginning, it looks so. When it starts being implemented, you discover that it will snowball. I like her ideas, and I encourage her to keep thinking. What to do with this resource. That is massive all over the country. You go even my own town, you see a massive building there, is a post office, and so they're all wasting. So you should keep thinking, and may God give her the wisdom to expand these things and make it work better.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. I appreciate it. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello, good evening, Maryann.
Good evening. What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from?
Engineer Joseph calling from Ikoyi at the moment.
All right, Engineer Joseph, go ahead. 60 seconds.
I also want to greet your guest in the studio, the Postmaster General.
Okay.
I have always, call for women inclusive in every agency where they believe they can fit in and make a change. And I want to appreciate her for coming in, and I pray that she will bring a good change in that field. And my question is that my dad has been using the post office for ages. And he gets parcels and everything in his post boxes, and do we still have such thing? Because sometimes he complains that some packages are not delivered and in his box, and do we still have whereby we will have that trust that packages meant to be put in the box. And the box are also not tampered, and everything is intact, because those are the things we complain about. Because because that was where he was using his was doing his correspondent calls from the UK.
All right.
His correspondent papers that come from that box. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Tola.
Yes, so yes, the boxes, like I mentioned, they still exist, and can they be trusted? I would say they can be trusted because now that we have a robust tracking, hand-to-hand checks, as opposed to aside from technology, we're also sort of using human interaction to track, to ensure that people get their parcels, so they can be trusted, especially in the post offices. These things get there, and in the case where they don't, I like to give out my email address to all people who are listening, that if there are any issues, please email pmg@nipost.gov.ng. That is pmg@nipost.gov.ng, and we'll get to the bottom of it. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, let me read some messages that are coming in on social media. There are those who are watching live on YouTube and on our Facebook Live, so would like to attend to their questions quickly before I let you go. I still have about 5 minutes on the clock, so let me just TikTok on that. Someone says, why is it that when people send packages through NiPost, the items are tampered with? I will never use NiPost again. And this is Eze Bahome on Facebook Live. Well, he's asking you a question, and he's already made up his mind, actually.
I mean, Mr. Eze on Facebook. Yes, in the past there have been issues, but it's something that we're working, I can tell you, vigorously. It's a metric that I track on a daily basis, like literally it's the first thing I do when I get to work, in that where are the issues and how we're going to track them down and solve them. And I hope that as we improve our business and become more secure, that you give NiPost a second chance.
Okay.
Mr. Eze, thank you.
All right. More messages on our live feed. Let's see. On WhatsApp here, someone says, My wife to be. Okay, who's your wife to be? Okay. You obviously have nothing to tell me. Someone here says, in the long list of Nigeria's failed institutions, NIPOS has a special place. All you have to do is take a trip to their office near Computer Village in Ikeja, Lagos. The fact that it stinks of stale urine and there are no computers for searching, but sorting is done manually in 2024 is evident of its complete and utter failure. In my opinion, it should be disbanded or sold off or scrapped. Wow. Tola, do you agree? Do you agree?
Definitely, I don't agree with that. Like it's something I've been saying that NIPOS does have a special place, a special role to play in Nigeria. Yes, I mean, anybody that goes into most NIPOS offices that you see that they're old buildings. So I like to say the Postal Service is actually older than the entity called Nigeria. Right? Nigeria as an entity was created in 1914. The first post office was built in 1854.
Wow.
Right? Yes. So there are a lot of old buildings, but I think it's one of the things I haven't alluded to in terms of how one of the initiatives that we're starting off with again is renovating the location. So location by location, it'll probably be something that you will start seeing very soon, starting from the general post offices, which are like the state headquarters, and then we'll start moving into sort of the urban areas, semi-urban, rural areas, not particularly that order, but that it's one of the things as well as we're bringing NIPOS back to life. As NIPOS is being reused again, you will start seeing changes in your local NIPOS office.
Okay. Let's take a few more questions before we wrap it up here. This one says, hi, Maryann. Firstly, I think that the Postal Service should do a lot more in the area of publicity. Also, I would like to know if they will be involved in the interstate agri-products haulage space, given that we have serious issues in that area. Gabe from Aja. This is very interesting.
So that person from Aja is probably a fly in the wall in my office.
Must have been listening to your conversations, I guess.
Yeah, listening to my conversations again. So again, like I mentioned that, NIPOS has all these assets, and with the onslaught of technology, we then start thinking, what else can we use NIPOS for, right? The Postal Service and our network. And one of the interesting use cases that keeps coming up is agro-logistics, right? And it's something that we're doing sort of our homework on, because we don't assume that it's just a truck and a location. These are things that are they're specialized services, but it's definitely one of the things that I would like to leave as a legacy as Postmaster General in NIPOS, in that not just moving mail, but contributing to the food security and food security of Nigeria.
Okay. All right. One more question, and then, of course, we'll be letting the Postmaster get on to other matters. But let's read some more messages coming in here. This one here says, oh gosh, just a second. Someone says, please help me ask her if the staff would be paid hourly. I'm a Royal Mail expertise. He wants to know if he can. I'm sure he's saying he wants to move back to Nigeria. He's obviously in the UK. Larry here. He works with Royal Mail, and he's saying, are they going to be paid hourly so he can move back? Jackpot over.
Because we need as many people as many people that love Nigeria to move back to Nigeria. But for now, the wonderful people of the Nigerian Postal Service are paid monthly. But maybe as our business case improves and we roll out all the services, who knows? We might have a space for this wonderful patriot.
All right. Once again, for those who are listening who still are saying, oh, yeah, you're just telling us what we want to hear, what's the assurance that in the next 3 months we'll have you back here, not telling us the same story, but telling us your achievements in closing?
I mean, closing. So once again, thank you for having me here. I think in 3 months, I'll probably have 2 initiatives to update you on, definitely. And it's not a it's not a dash, it's a journey, right? But definitely in the next 3 months, we'll have updates for you. And thank you. Like I mentioned, my email address is pmg@nipost.gov.ng. Please send your feedback, your comments, your questions, your issues. I mean, the only way we can have this sort of iterative progress is if we listen to the truth, right? Not just what I would say, what I want to say, but I also want Nigerians to also tell me what, because it's a commonwealth of all Nigerians. The Nigerian Postal Service belongs to Nigerians, so you should have a say, and which is why I'm grateful that you brought me onto the show, so that the good people that listen to Nigeria Info can also hear my voice as well.
All right. Well, Tola Odeyemi is the Postmaster General, and she's been talking to us about repositioning, reforming, and of course getting you to come back on board with the Nigerian Postal Services. Thank you so much, Mr. Odeyemi, for being on the show. I think I can say more grease to your elbow. Let's hope that in 3 months I'll have you back here on the show.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your evening, and enjoy the rest of your drive to all Lagosians listening.
We saw what you did there. We're coming for you. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Well, Lagos, that's the show. We will be going on a break to bring you some messages. But of course, Yvonne Haifo is here at the top of the hour with the news. My name is Maryann Okon. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, MIMIEYO. Or better still, you could join Nigeria Info on all of his social media handles, Twitter, Facebook, X, that's X, Twitter. You can join the conversation on Threads and subscribe to our YouTube page, Nigeria Info FM. And if you missed this conversation, go watch it again on our Nigeria Info FM YouTube handle. Have a beautiful day, Lagos. Tomorrow is another day. I'll be back with you on Hard Facts. Love you, Lagos.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.